Other people get reborn and use their memories to speculate in stocks and real estate. I got reborn, opened my eyes, and found my home bare as walls, buried in debt, with my old man just buried. Wouldn't you panic if it were you? I didn't. I went up the mountain to catch gray dogs and snare roe deer, and I even secretly fed the dogs the spirit spring water from my space. The villagers laughed at me, saying poverty had driven me crazy, but I didn't explain. Because I knew. The worse the starting point, the more satisfying the comeback. When I woke up, my head hurt like hell, and the sobbing in my ears annoyed me. I turned over, wanting to pull the quilt over my head, but the pain all over my body made me suck in a sharp breath. Opening my eyes, I saw a woman sitting by the bed holding a little girl of 5 or 6. I subconsciously called out, "Mom. Chuyi, you're finally awake. You scared your mother to death. I told you not to go up the mountain, but you insisted." Looking at the far too youthful face before me, my memories suddenly became clear. Under the covers, I pinched my thigh hard. It hurt, really hurt. This wasn't a dream. Me, Lin Chuyi, I had been reborn. It was this same point in time in my previous life too. Dad had gone up the mountain hunting and was gored by a wild boar. He died. The family was so poor we could barely put food on the table. So I took the hunting rifle Dad left behind and went up the mountain, hoping to make some money for the new year. Instead, I rolled down a slope and nearly lost my life. To pay for my treatment, the hunting rifle was sold, and the family's savings were drained dry. Later, I slowly learned hunting from other hunters and supported my little sister Xiaojiu all the way through high school. After hunting was banned, I went south to work as a migrant laborer and did every kind of job. I never married my whole life. It wasn't that I didn't want to. My mother's medical bills and my sister's tuition were like two mountains pressing down on me, and I simply didn't dare think about anything else. By the time my mother passed away and my sister started working, I had grown old too. Since I had another chance at life, I couldn't walk the same old road again. Mom brought over a bowl of corn porridge, and I gulped it down while thinking about how to make money. With my more than 10 years of hunting experience, supporting the whole family definitely wouldn't be a problem. The problem was, Dad's gun was gone. I couldn't exactly go up the mountain empty-handed. Just as I was thinking, a whole world suddenly unfolded in my mind. It was about the size of one mu, with a small pond in the middle, spring water bubbling up. This was a space. With a thought, the bowl in my hand entered the space and landed steadily on the ground. With another thought, the bowl came back out filled with water from the pond. I took a sip. It was sweet, and the pain in my body actually eased quite a bit. I quickly filled another bowl and fed it to Heizi in the yard. Heizi was the hunting dog Dad had left behind, and the wound on his chest still hadn't healed, so he limped when he walked. After drinking the water, Heizi was obviously more spirited. I walked out of the room, and Mom and Xiaojiu were breaking corn in the yard. The atmosphere at home was gloomy. With the head of the family gone, the whole household seemed to have lost its backbone. "Mom, is Dad's slingshot still around?" Mom's hand trembled. "It's in my room." "Chuyi, you mustn't fool around again." "Don't worry, Mom. I'm just going to the foot of the mountain to hunt some gray dogs. A good pelt sells for several yuan." Mom let out a sigh of relief. "The foot of the mountain is fine, as long as you don't go up the mountain." Taking the slingshot and carrying a cloth bag, I went out. On the way, I ran into Uncle Jangwo, who repeatedly warned me not to run up the mountain again. I said I knew what I was doing. When I reached the foot of the mountain, there was a thin layer of snow on the ground. Quite a few villagers were out gathering firewood, while I kept my eyes on the treetops for gray dogs. This thing is only a little bigger than a rat. If you shoot it with a gun, all you get is a pile of mangled flesh, so you can only use a slingshot or set snares. On the way, I ran into Daju, my best buddy. "Daju, how come there are so few gray dogs around here?" "Right now, a single pelt sells for several yuan, so every household is coming out to catch them. If you want to hunt them, go over to Chestnut Slope. Winter's coming soon, and they're out looking for food." I headed toward Chestnut Slope. At first, my hands were a little rusty, and 2 got away. I finally hit the 3rd one. I was really good with a slingshot in my previous life, so once I got the feel for it again, it all came back. I picked up the gray dogsy, twisted its neck, and hung it at my waist. When I looked up, I saw a hole in the tree. In no time, I climbed up and reached inside. Good grief. Chestnuts, pine cones, walnuts. I pulled out a full 3 or 4 gene. These little things really know how to stash stuff. By the time I got home at dark, I had 3 gray dogsy and a bag full of dried nuts. That night, I skinned the gray dogsy and stewed the meat. Xiaojiu ate till his mouth was shining with grease, and even the bones went to Heizi. At last, Mother had a smile on her face. I treated the 3 pelts and hung them up to dry. Once they were dry, I could take them to the purchasing station for about a dozen yuan. "Mom, tomorrow I'll go gather firewood. Be careful, don't wear yourself out." Early the next morning, Daju came over carrying a shoulder pole and took me to a mountain hollow. The place was remote and had plenty of firewood. While chopping wood, I carried my slingshot and wandered around. And by noon I had shot 2 pheasants and 1 gray dogsy. I gave 1 pheasant to Daju. He was helping us with the work, after all. Chuyi, let me tell you. Daju started talking nonsense, stuff about Xiao Taoang from Xiago village and the like. I just listened. The guy was about to get married and still letting his mind wander. After 3 days, the woodshed at home was more than half full. Early that morning, I went to the chestnut slope as usual, hunting gray dogsy while chopping firewood. Then I found roe deer tracks in the snow. I followed them for more than 500 meters and saw several roe deer nosing through the snow to eat grass. I didn't charge at them. I wouldn't be able to catch them. I found a suitable tree and made a snare with the rope I'd brought, setting it under the tree. Then I broke up a cornbread cake and scattered the pieces in the middle of the snare. After thinking it over, I added a little water from the space. I hid in the tree and waited for more than half an hour, but the roe deer didn't come this way. I took out a bowl of water from the space and poured it downwind. Sure enough, the roe deer lifted their heads and ran this way. They were very wary, circling several times before slowly approaching. I waited for the biggest one to stick its head into the middle of the noose, then yanked the rope hard. It nearly pulled me down. Gritting my teeth, I jumped down from the other side of the branch, and the roe deer was hoisted straight up. It stopped moving before long. I quickly bled it out, left some of the offal for Heizi, and hung the rest on the thorns. I waited until dark before carrying the dressed roe deer home. Several dozen jean, not heavy. Just before I reached home, I ran into Uncle Jangwo. He froze for a moment when he saw the roe deer. Good grief, that's a big one. I got lucky. This stupid thing had broken its leg, so I happened to pick it up. Uncle, I'd like to borrow your bicycle and take it to the county to sell tomorrow. Sure, come get it later. Go find Lin Hao. He works at the steel factory, and the price there is better than at the purchasing station. Before dawn the next day, I rode to the county. It was still dark when I arrived at Lin Hao's home. Lin Hao was Uncle Jangwo's son and worked as a fitter at the steel factory. Brother Hao, I got a roe deer yesterday. Uncle Jangwo told me to come find you. You brats still dare to go up the mountain? I didn't go up the mountain. I ran into it while gathering firewood. Lin Hao took the roe deer to the cafeteria, and when he came back, he gave me a very good price. I put the money away and took out a few drawings. Brother Hao, help me make a few things. One saw like this, and a knife like this. The saw is a hand saw, easy to carry. So if I run into wood that isn't too thick in the mountains, I can just saw it directly and save effort. As for the knife, calling it a wood-cutting knife isn't quite right. It's more like a machete. One swing is enough for thin branches. Sure, I'll make them for you. I'll bring them back next time I have time off. Then thank you, Brother Hao. I didn't mention money. If I did, he'd definitely say something about it. Mainly because these things were easy jobs for Lin Hao, and he didn't need to spend any money either. The factory had plenty of scrap material. Lin Chuyi couldn't get into the factory, so he stood waiting at the entrance. In just over 20 minutes, Lin Hao came out and reached over with an envelope. Not bad, a full 80 yuan. As soon as Lin Chuyi heard it, he felt relieved. 80 yuan. Finally, they had some money. This is for you. I made it for fun when I was bored, and this too. Help me take it to my dad. Sure thing. Thanks, Brother Hao. As he spoke, Lin Chuyi took the package Lin Hao handed over, along with a small utility knife. The knife wasn't long, only about 10 centimeters or so. The handle was made of wood, with no decoration, and the splinters on the wood hadn't even been smoothed off yet, so it was probably made not long ago. For Lin Chuyi, this knife was a timely help. The small knife his father had left behind had already been worn thin from sharpening, and now with this knife, handling hides and such would be much more convenient. Instead of going straight home, he took the opportunity to stroll around the county town. It was already 1983, and the obvious difference from the previous years was that people had started setting up stalls. There weren't many, but they definitely existed. The stalls were all selling mountain goods, and Lin Chuyi got a preliminary understanding of the market. These days, every household surely had some mountain goods, but most kept them for their own families to eat, and not many would think of bringing them to the county town to sell for money. Suddenly, Lin Chuyi saw an old man sitting there, taking puffs from a pipe now and then, with a wooden box set in front of him. Inside the box, 2 dogs would stick their heads out from time to time, completely unafraid of people. From Lin Chuyi's experience, these 2 puppies looked like excellent hunting dog material. He was instantly interested. Although there was already Heizi at home, 1 dog definitely wouldn't be enough if he was going to be running around in the mountains later. Old sir, how much are these dogs? 10 yuan. His interest vanished at once. That price was really outrageous. The 2 dogs together didn't even weigh 5 jin, and together they cost 20 yuan. That could buy a huge pile of meat. Make it cheaper. Who charges that kind of price? How about this? 10 yuan for both. If that works, I'll take them. No way. My dogs aren't ordinary dogs. Their parents are famous mountain running dogs where we're from. They're still dogs, though. Besides, no one can be sure whether puppies will inherit their parents' good traits. 10 yuan is about right. You're sitting here in the cold wind, and that's no fun either. Make the deal early, and you can head home early too. This wind isn't comfortable at all. How about this? 15 yuan, and both dogs are yours. I only have 10 yuan left. If that works, we have a deal. If not, then keep trying. The truth was, good puppies really weren't cheap, and they were in high demand too. Usually, people would reserve them before the mother dog was even bred. He had just happened to run into this, but he was also just taking a shot in the dark. If it worked, it worked. If not, forget it. As for dogs, at worst he could wait until spring and go around to other villages. Getting 2 dogs wasn't all that hard. Fine, take them away. Damn it. I've been here for several days, and no one's even asked the price. The old man had no temper left either. He had thought these 2 puppies were pretty good and figured he could sell them for a nice price. But who would have thought that after being here for days, not a single person had even asked the price? There was nothing else for it. Old hunters rarely came to the county town, and usually only made a trip after saving things up for quite a while. On top of that, in the countryside, if people wanted to keep a cat or dog, they usually just took one when someone's dog had puppies. Who would spend money? Even though these were hunting dogs, nobody recognized that. And just like that, Lin Chuyi now had 2 more dogs, and he walked home with a grin on his face. He also wanted to buy some things for his mother and younger sister, but he was poor, after all, and the matter of the gun still wasn't settled yet. But besides the 2 dogs, he also bought all kinds of seeds. He had been too busy these past few days to experiment, so he planned to go back, rest for a day, and at the same time see whether he could grow some vegetables and the like in that space. How come you brought back 2 dogs? We barely have enough food for people as it is, and now there are 2 more dogs. Lu Xiao really couldn't hold back when she saw Lin Chuyi come back, carrying 2 dogs. Her son had only behaved himself for a few days before he started fussing around again. She knew perfectly well that he must be thinking about going up the mountain. Didn't I just happen to come across them? Mom, don't worry. Let Heizi earn his keep. Tomorrow I'll have Heizi go catch rabbits. By the way, how much did they sell for? Lu Xiao's temper flared up quickly and died down just as fast, and in an instant she excitedly started asking questions. Lin Chuyi didn't beat around the bush either, and took out 60 yuan and handed it to her. Buying the dogs cost 10 yuan, and the various seeds cost another 2 yuan. I kept 8 yuan for myself, just in case. 65 yuan total. I'll keep 5 yuan, and Mom, you can decide what to do with the rest. Forget it, don't give it to me. Find some time to pay back the money our family owes in the village. Is this money enough? It's enough. I remember it all. Altogether it's 58 yuan and 30 cents. I'll tell you later which families it is. Lin Chuyi breathed a sigh of relief. As long as it was enough, his pressure wouldn't be so great from here on out. He had simply been thinking about it the wrong way. In his previous life, he had never handled this matter at all and had left it all to his mother. In the countryside in the 1980s, more than 50 yuan was already quite a lot. Heizi, go. At the command, Heizi shot out directly and before long brought back the pheasant Lin Chuyi had just shot. After resting these past few days, Heizi had more or less recovered. It wasn't for nothing that he secretly fed it spring water every day. The spring water hadn't made Heizi smarter. But this fellow's body had truly improved another step, and it was much faster than before. Picking up the pheasant, he immediately started bleeding it, and the pheasant began struggling too. He had just hit its wing, so it hadn't died right away, but now that it had fallen into Lin Chuyi's hands, there was no way he was going to let it get away. After tidying up the pheasant a bit, he put it into the basket on his back, and then the man and the dog continued forward. The weather was getting colder and colder, and both pheasants and hazel grouse had become much fewer. But it wasn't as if there were no gains at all. He had already bought back more than 10 hides, and now he was just waiting for them to dry completely so he could trade them for money. Woof! As they were walking, Heizi suddenly let out a low growl and stared fixedly in one direction. Lin Chuyi also sensed that something was wrong and grabbed Heizi's collar to stop it from charging out. He didn't have a gun with him. Let's go? He immediately pulled Heizi and headed back, not caring what was up ahead. Heizi often went up the mountain with his father, and Lin Chuyi was worried this guy would dash out, so the hand gripping its collar was extremely tight. After all, when the weather turned cold, there was little to eat in the mountains, so the wild beasts on the mountain began approaching the village. This happened every year, so it wasn't unusual. Another snowfall came, and this one was obviously much heavier than the last. The temperature dropped again as well. Lin Chuyi didn't go out and lay on the heated brick bed at home. In this weather, going outside was really too much for a person to bear. Taking advantage of the time, Lin Chuyi also sank his consciousness into the space and started planting vegetables. He had bought quite a few seeds, including all kinds of melons, fruits, and vegetables, but there was only that 1 mu of land in total. So he had to have some idea of what to plant and how much to plant. The most numerous were cabbage and radish seeds. These were winter necessities, so Lin Chuyi didn't plant much. He just wanted something fresh to eat. There were 6 or 7 kinds of vegetables in total, and Lin Chuyi planted them all directly. After watering them, he waited quite a while and still didn't see the seeds sprout, so Lin Chuyi knew he had been thinking a bit too much. This water couldn't make plants grow quickly after all, but it didn't matter. He wasn't worried they wouldn't grow. On the first day, he had buried a few corn kernels in there, and now they had already sprouted. That proved the space could definitely be used to grow vegetables. Chuyi, your brother Hao is here. He was lying on the bed, tidying up this space, when he heard his mother calling him. Putting on his shoes, Lin Chuyi saw Lin Hao returning with snow on his head. Haoji, why did you still come back in such heavy snow? Didn't happen to be on a break. If I didn't come back, I'd have to wait until the next day off. I made the thing you wanted. As he spoke, he handed it over. The moment it was in his hands, he could feel its solid weight. And the edge of the machete was even glinting blue, so it had probably been treated. Haoji, I just shot a pheasant yesterday. Take it back and eat it. Keep it for yourself. I brought food back. Don't. If you're like this, I'll feel embarrassed. Then, all right. Auntie, I'll head home first then. It just so happened that the pheasant caught yesterday still hadn't been eaten. So Lin Chuyi casually gave it away. After all, the guy had helped him and even delivered it over, so he couldn't very well let him go back empty-handed. What did you make this thing for? A saw and a machete. Wasn't I thinking it'd make chopping firewood easier? His mother didn't care at all that Lin Chuyi had given away the pheasant. The family really hadn't been short of meat lately. Once it started snowing, it snowed for 2 days, and the ground was covered in a thick layer. In order to live a good life and move into a brick and tile house, Lin Chuyi hadn't been idle at all. After sweeping the snow from the yard, he took Heizi up the mountain. As for the 2 puppies, they were too young, so they were being kept indoors. He trudged along unevenly, keeping his eyes constantly on the trees around him. Heizi, damn it, give me something here. It's been forever and you haven't even found a pheasant. With no harvest, Lin Chuyi couldn't help starting to complain about Heizi, though calling it complaining was really just him wanting to talk out of boredom. Heizi looked at him, then turned his head back, his nose continuing to twitch. Suddenly, before Lin Chuyi had even reacted, Heizi let out a low growl and charged out. Heizi, there was nothing he could do. He couldn't call him back, and he'd forgotten to put the leash on. Once this guy caught the scent of prey, he'd just charge, not caring about anything. Lin Chuyi had no idea which dog he'd learned that habit from. The key was that he didn't have a gun. Even if Heizi rushed over and held it down, then what? Was he supposed to run up carrying a blade and hack at it? Woof, woof, woof. He'd finally caught up. It turned out to be a wild boar, and by the look of it, it weighed well over 100 gene. This guy Heizi had already tangled with it. He wasn't confronting it head-on either. Whenever the boar wasn't paying attention, he'd rush up and bite it once, not trying to bite it to death, and when the boar turned around, he'd let go. He'd managed to keep it occupied, but Lin Chuyi didn't have a gun. The wild boar was still running, but Heizi suddenly bit down on its hind leg, and the boar stumbled and crashed into the snow. Lin Chuyi didn't charge up there. His brain worked just fine. It wasn't broken. Heizi, come back. His goal was simply to call Heizi back. As for the wild boar, forget it. It was pretty pitiful, so he wouldn't eat it after all. Heizi was still obedient. Hearing Wang Yi call him back, although somewhat reluctant to leave the prey in front of him, he still returned. But as for that wild boar lying on the ground, who knew whether it had knocked its brain loose in the fall? Because after getting up, it actually charged straight at Lin Chuyi. Seeing this, Lin Chuyi cursed under his breath, but he didn't panic. He immediately climbed the tree beside him. He had been keeping an eye on it the whole time. This tree was the easiest to climb, just in case the wild boar went berserk. And now it really came in handy. Heizi started circling the boar and biting at it again, but it was useless. With just him, he simply couldn't take down the boar, so the situation fell into a stalemate for a while. Lin Chuyi in the tree didn't stay idle either, using his slingshot to continuously fire round little stones at the boar's face. And for a time, the boar's squeals echoed through the mountains and forest. The damage was indeed negligible, but quantitative change leads to qualitative change. Both of the boar's eyes had been struck until they were bleeding. The wild boar had gone blind and was charging around like crazy, with no aim at all, occasionally even crashing into trees. Lin Chuyi knew his chance had come. If he waited any longer, it might attract something else. So he had to end this quickly. He slowly climbed down the tree, knife in hand, and carefully approached the wild boar rolling around on the ground. After struggling for so long, the brute was already running out of strength. And more importantly, Heizi had been harassing it the whole time, while Lin Chuyi kept pelting its face with his slingshot. The boar's hide might be thick, but the face was extremely sensitive. Whether it was the eyes or the nose, one shot from the slingshot, there was enough to make it squeal in pain. Seeing Lin Chuyi come closer, Heizi immediately bit onto the boar's hind leg and started pulling backward. Seeing this, Lin Chuyi rushed forward at once and pinned himself onto the wild boar, grabbing the leg underneath its body so it couldn't roll over. At the same time, the knife in his hand seemed to have eyes of its own as it plunged straight into its neck, and blood sprayed out immediately. The wild boar struggled even more fiercely, but Lin Chuyi held it down with all his might and didn't let it get up. Once this brute got back on its feet, he wouldn't be able to handle it. Heizi wasn't idle either. This time it bit onto the hind leg and didn't let go, just kept tugging at it. Finally, the wild boar's struggling gradually weakened, and little by little it went still. Seeing this, Lin Chuyi sat up and panted heavily. In that short while, he had truly used every bit of strength in his body. This body hasn't been tempered before. I'll have to pay attention to exercising from now on. Heizi, well done. This fellow really was excellent. In his previous life, it had helped him a lot too. Father had really trained this dog well. A lot of people had come to the door wanting to buy it, but the family had never been willing to part with it. Sure enough, when it came to hunting, it was truly first-rate. After only a short rest, the ground had already been churned up beyond recognition. Lin Chuyi directly grabbed the wild boar and dragged it all the way home. He didn't wait for nightfall either. With such a strong smell of blood, who knew what it might attract? Heizi, don't be anxious, you'll get your reward when we get home. Actually, the proper thing to do with prey like this was to dress it on the spot, then give some of the good meat to the hunting dog. But he was in a hurry, so it was better to get home first. Hey, Chuyi, you went up the mountain again? No, this wild boar ran down by itself and was pinned down by Heizi. Really? Could Heizi pin down such a big wild boar? Of course. Heizi weighs over 100 gene himself, though I helped too. I went up and gave it a stab, ha ha ha. Good heavens, this thing must weigh close to 200 gene, right? No idea. Didn't I hurry and drag it back? I was afraid of running into wolves. If that happened, I wouldn't be able to handle them by myself. True enough, but you really are reckless, kid. You still dared to run up the mountain. Along the way, the villagers saw the huge wild boar Lin Chuyi was dragging and felt envy, jealousy, and covetousness. But since it wasn't theirs after all, they could only satisfy themselves with talk. Lin Chuyi certainly didn't dare be polite with everyone. If he started being polite, this whole pig really might not be enough to divide up. When he got home, his mother was tidying up the yard, while his little sister had brought out the 2 puppies and was teasing them. You, Mom, hurry and boil some water. Lin Chuyi grinned from ear to ear as he instructed his mother. Lu Caishiao wasn't annoyed. Her son was sensible now and had taken up the burden of this family. Lin Xiaojiu stood behind the kitchen door watching, occasionally shrinking her head back. She was a little scared of this kind of scene, but at the same time she was curious watching her brother skillfully gut the pig. Wild boar hide was relatively thick, so there was no way to slice it open directly. So he had to cut through it slowly like using a saw. A knife wouldn't work on the breastbone, so Lin Chuyi directly brought out the axe, and in no time he split it open. Heizi. The pig heart was taken out and tossed directly to Heizi. This guy was a real hero. Then he threw a big pile of intestines into the basin to be cleaned later when the skin was stripped off. Wild boar hide isn't very useful, and the purchasing station doesn't buy it either, but after cleaning it up, it still makes a pretty good seat cushion. Once the water was boiled, Lu Caishiao came over to help too, washing the offal. Chuyi, did you pick up this wild boar too? No, Heizi found it. By the time I reacted, this guy had already charged up, so I had no choice but to kill it. Forget it, you're grown now, and you know what you're doing. Just remember to think more about your mother and your little sister before you do anything in the future. This family is counting on you. His hands couldn't help but pause, and his eyes stung a little. In his previous life, Lin Chuyi had also felt it was unfair. Why him? But there aren't that many whys in life. His father was gone, and he was the man of the house now. Even if some things left him feeling wronged, he could only keep it buried inside. There was no way to tell anyone. Now that he had been reborn and heard these words again, to be honest, Lin Chuyi felt somewhat resistant to them. It was because of his mother's words that in his previous life, he never got married and kept toiling for this family. His little sister's schooling and his mother's medical expenses when she was sick all weighed on him like mountains. Back then, he would sometimes think about just being a bastard for once, giving up and not caring anymore. Let things go however they would. But that was only an angry thought when he was exhausted beyond belief. After one night's sleep, everything would return to square one. Mom, don't worry. I'll definitely give you and my little sister a good life. Since his father's passing, this home had always been oppressive. His mother wore a worried expression all day long, and he had also grown silent because of it. But now it was different. Since he had another chance at life, he had to live it differently. His hands kept moving, and his mouth didn't stop either as Lin Chuyi planned out happiness for his mother. Mom, let's not sell this pig. Anyway, now that our debts are paid off, let's keep it for our own family for the new year. That's too much. Keep one leg. That'll be enough for the new year. In a bit, send one leg to Uncle Jangwo's family. Then give some to Daju's family too. They've helped us quite a lot these days. And there really won't be much left after that. Alright, you decide. Mom, don't busy yourself here anymore. Go see which family has some star anise, and trade some pork for it. Wild boar meat has a strong smell, and without star anise it won't taste good. As he spoke, he cut off a piece of meat directly, a full 3 gene, though it was mostly lean. Wild boar meat is just like that, with very little fat. But isn't it just the beginning of winter now? These fellows have all been eating their fill and getting nice and fat, so this one is quite a bit better. As Lin Chuyi talked about what to do with this pig, a smile appeared on his mother's face too. Chuyi, now that our family's debts are paid off, after another year of hard work next year, it's about time you started looking for a match. No rush, I'm not even 20 yet. In the city, people that age aren't even allowed to get a marriage certificate. That won't do either. I heard Daju has already found a match, and they'll be holding the wedding banquet next year. You're the same age as him, so why aren't you anxious? When it came to marriage, Lin Chuyi actually felt somewhat at a loss, having never gone through any of that in either of his 2 lives. Sure, next year I'll earn more money, and we'll build a house of blue bricks with a big tiled roof. Then wouldn't getting a wife be easy? You're just daydreaming. A house of blue bricks with a big tiled roof? Do you think you're the village chief? One wonders what the village chief would think if he heard that. The pig was processed very quickly, and in no time it had already been turned into strips of meat weighing 2 or 3 gene each. Quite a bit of meat still remained on the bones, since he wasn't a professional after all, and couldn't manage to strip the bones completely clean the way those professional pig butchers could. After finishing all of it, Lin Chuyi finally noticed that his body was covered in specks of blood too, probably splashed on him just now. Xiaojiu, keep an eye on things and don't let Heizi steal any food. I'm going inside to change clothes. Big brother, when are we going to eat the meat? We'll eat when Mom gets back. You little glutton, as if you've ever been short of meat. We've had no shortage of meat at home lately. Every now and then there were pheasants and gray squirrels. Although there wasn't much meat, we never went without. Lou Batten, borrowing the dog is easy to talk about, but I want to join too. Don't worry, Heizi will definitely count as one share then. That's the rule. I know. I'm saying I want to join too. Don't worry, I'll definitely obey orders and follow instructions then. If nothing else, I can at least help carry the game, right? Chuyi, it's not that Batten doesn't want to take you. Look, you're the only one left in your family to support the household now. If I really took you along, your mother would complain about me to death. Hearing this, Lin Chuyi knew clearly that this wasn't going to happen. Actually, he knew in his heart that Batten definitely wouldn't agree, but he still wanted to try, just in case. If it really worked out and he could tag along for a few days, if nothing else, there would definitely be plenty of meat to eat. Alright then, Heizi is in your hands. Lou Batten was about the same age as his father, and his father had followed their team before, so Lin Chuyi was fairly at ease. And in his previous life, he had also followed this Lou Batten for a while later on. He was a decent person and loyal. Lin Chuyi didn't want to offend him either. When you're making a living in the mountains, there's not much law to speak of. Heizi was taken away, but Daju came over, holding a newly made slingshot in his hand. Chuyi, look, this is what I had my dad make for me. The moment Daju arrived, he started showing off his newly made slingshot. His father knew a bit of carpentry, and their family was fairly well off too. Daju, you'd better practice your aim properly. Stop shooting wildly, it's a waste. Aren't I practicing? By the way, Chuyi, there are too few gray squirrels around here. Let's go farther in, otherwise we're just standing here getting blown by the wind. It wasn't that Lin Chuyi hadn't thought about this, but if they went farther in, the situation really would be hard to predict. Still, he was getting a little anxious now. If he kept wandering around like this, when would he ever save up any money? Even if he went farther in, he wouldn't bring Daju along. If something happened then, he'd get scolded to death. Forget it. If your dad found out, he'd scold me to death. Although borrowing Daju's gun could help him build up some capital quickly, they did live in the same village after all, so it was better to forget about this kind of thing. After wandering around all day, they ended up with nothing at all, just wasting a whole day in the cold wind. There was nothing to be done about it. Hunting was like that, living at the mercy of the weather. Lin Chuyi was used to it too. Only Daju was obviously a bit dejected. He had seen 2 gray squirrels, but his skill was truly painful to watch. He didn't even hit a hare. This definitely couldn't go on. He had to make more money while the weather had just turned cold. Lin Chuyi also began thinking of a way, just as he secretly poured a bowl of space water for the 2 puppies. Seeing how excited the 2 puppies were, he got an idea. This space water seemed to have some inexplicable attraction to animals. So could he try using the space water to lure these animals out? Now that he had an idea, he started preparing. He had taken quite a lot of things from squirrel nests, and they were still sitting there unfinished. So Lin Chuyi grabbed 2 handfuls directly, then grabbed another handful of cornmeal and soaked them in space water. The next day, sure enough, Daju had lost interest and simply didn't come. That was fine too. There was no way he could let anyone else know about the space. It was far too unbelievable. This time, Lin Chuyi planned to go a little farther in. There were chestnuts here, so presumably there shouldn't be few squirrels. Choosing a suitable spot, Lin Chuyi divided up the chestnuts and corn kernels he had soaked last night and placed them in several spots, some in the trees and some scattered on the rocks, while he found a place to hide himself. And sure enough, this method really worked. Before long, a sneaky gray squirrel appeared in his line of sight, though it was a bit far away. After waiting a while longer, perhaps because Lin Chuyi had hidden well, or perhaps because the chestnuts soaked in the space water were simply too tempting, the gray squirrel still couldn't resist, and leaped straight toward the chestnuts placed on the tree branch. Lin Chuyi definitely couldn't let this chance slip by. While the gray squirrel was stuffing chestnuts into its mouth, he directly hit it on the head. Thump! The snow on the ground was fairly thick, so when the gray squirrel fell, it made only a faint sound. Lin Chuyi didn't hurry over to pick it up, but continued squatting there. Before long, a pheasant appeared sneakily, looking a bit dumb, and ran straight for the corn kernels. Lin Chuyi didn't sit idle either. He picked up his slingshot and fired a shot. This time he had to go pick it up, because he had hit its wing. It couldn't fly, but it could still run. He chased after it in a few quick steps and pinned it down. He walked a little farther away, bled it, and put it into his bag. Lin Chuyi knew his plan had worked. After all, in just this short while he had gotten 1 gray squirrel and 1 pheasant. He kept going. Although it was a bit cold, the harvest really was plentiful. Next, Lin Chuyi became thoroughly busy, because every so often another target would appear. And he didn't go easy on them. However many came, he shot that many. For a while, he even felt a little overwhelmed. He had just shot down the gray squirrel on the eastern tree branch, when in the blink of an eye, 2 gray squirrels on the western side started fighting over a chestnut. He hit one, while the other ran off. Damn, his hands were getting sore. Half a day of high-intensity slingshot shooting left his arms aching, and Lin Chuyi planned to head home, because his aim was getting a little off now, so there wasn't much point in staying to wait any longer. He picked up the gray squirrels that had just fallen into the snow one by one and stuffed them into a cloth sack. Counting them, there were 8 in total, plus 5 or 6 pheasants. Just as he was about to leave, he heard the rustling sound of something pushing through the snow not far away, almost like the sound of a person walking in the snow. For a moment, he couldn't tell what it was, so Lin Chuyi quickly hid himself, not even having time to take the bait with him. Before long, Lin Chuyi saw 7 or 8 wild boars of various sizes coming over, heading straight for the corn kernels he had scattered on the ground. This was something Lin Chuyi truly hadn't expected. It seemed this method had to be used with caution in the future, otherwise who ended up being the bait would be hard to say. He had no interest in wild boars. Even that wild boar from last time. If Heizi hadn't rushed up, he wouldn't have provoked it either. Seriously, don't underestimate these things. Without a gun, there's really not much you can do against them. He didn't disturb the wild boars that were lifting their noses and sniffing around. Lin Chuyi slowly backed away and left the place. Today had been a day of great harvest. And when he got home, both his mother and his little sister were grinning from ear to ear. Go get some rest, I'll take care of this. It's fine, let's do it together. All right, Mom. Should we send 2 pheasants to Grandpa's house? His mother, who had just been smiling warmly, instantly turned cold when she heard that. Send them what for? When you were injured and I went to borrow money, they wouldn't even let me through the door. Hearing this, Lin Chuyi also felt relieved. It wasn't that he was stingy, he was just afraid his mother might want to help out that side. Don't be fooled by how tough her words were now. Once life got better, if those people came over and stuck close with a few nice words, her attitude would be different again. All right, Then we won't send any. From now on, we won't have anything to do with that side anymore. All right, Mom. You know full well what their attitude is like. Don't count on relatives helping each other anymore. When we ran into trouble, didn't they refuse to help us too? What a waste that some of the things Dad sent back before were given to them. Chuyi, after all, they are your eldest and second uncle. People always say a mother's brothers are the closest. If something comes up in the future, Mom, you still expect them to help? You're the one who told me about this in the first place. It's not that I'm stopping you from showing filial respect to Grandpa and Grandma. It's just that from now on, we should mind the limits. Just send a little something over on holidays and festivals, and that'll be enough. I'll listen to you. Lin Chuyi just wanted to make sure to set expectations early. Once the family's life gets better later on, it wouldn't do to have them come mooching off us. He wasn't some gullible sucker. In his previous life, after his mother passed away, he never went over there again. They looked down on his whole family, so why keep trying to curry favor with them? Lin Chuyi knew that whole family very well. As long as there was even the slightest advantage to be taken here, they'd catch the scent and come running. He absolutely couldn't let it be like his previous life again, where he risked his life in the mountains to get food, only for that bunch to come and take it all away. There are quite a few pheasants today. Mom, salt them all. When the new year comes, send 2 over there. Forget it. Let's keep them for ourselves to eat. His mother definitely still had resentment in her heart. Those were her own elder brothers. When she went to borrow money, they wouldn't even let her in the door. Even though it was their wives who dealt with her, how could she not know what the truth was? They kept tidying up until nightfall, and finally everything was put in order. Looking at the dozen or so gray dog pelts from before, they were pretty much ready, and he planned to find time to go to the county town and sell them. After dinner, Lin Chuyi washed up and had just lain down on the Kong when he heard knocking at the door. Who is it? It's so late at night. He had just gotten onto the Kong, and he really didn't want to get up. Daju, what are you doing out this late instead of sleeping at home? As soon as he opened the door, he saw Daju grinning from ear to ear. Who knew what happy news he'd come across? Chuyi, look. As he spoke, he undid the cloth bundle in his arms, and a Type 56 semi-automatic rifle appeared before Lin Chuyi's eyes in the faint moonlight. Where did you get that? I borrowed it from the militia team. I begged my uncle for ages before he agreed to lend it to me. Why the hell did you borrow a gun? To go up the mountain. The new year is almost here, so it'd be good to hunt a few wild boars for the holiday. Do you think wild boars are raised by your family? You think you can hunt them whenever you want? Hurry up and return the gun. Stop messing around. If this had been his previous life, he really might have agreed. A hot-blooded young man in his teens or 20s can really do just about anything on impulse except math problems. But now, after airing quilts and living to such an age, he definitely couldn't agree to something this unreliable. There were only 2 of them, and Daju was still a novice. And the key point was that Heizi had also been led away by Lu Badu. Going into the mountains like this would really be like being blind. Come on, I finally managed to borrow it. In a couple of days I have to return it. We won't go far, just wander around nearby. If we can hit something, we hunt it. If not, we'll just treat it as trying out the gun. Lin Chuyi couldn't help thinking of the group of wild boars he had run into during the day. And he really did get an idea, though he didn't know whether the wild boars had left yet. All right then, you go back first. Come get me tomorrow, and we'll go take a look around. Alrighty, but leave the gun with you for now. If I take it home and my dad sees it, he'll definitely scold me. So you do know that. Fine, leave it here with me for now. Come early tomorrow. After seeing Daju off, Lin Chuyi carried the bundle wrapped around the gun back toward the room. Before he even went inside, he heard his mother asking who it was. It was Daju. He wants to go out and have some fun with me tomorrow. He didn't dare let his mother know about the gun. Once she knew, she'd worry herself sick again. Back in the room, using the faint light of the kerosene lamp, he quickly took the gun apart in no time. Seeing his hands covered in gun oil, he could tell the gun had been well maintained. He also felt the rifling, and it was pretty good. Lin Chuyi was worried that, just to brush Daju off, his uncle had given him a broken gun. That would be a real problem if the gun misfired when they went to hunt wild boars. He counted the bullets again, 30 rounds in total, more than enough. He hadn't touched a gun in decades. And now that he was holding one again, he really did feel a bit nostalgic. He was itching to fire a couple of shots right away, but he could still hold back. At this hour of the night, gunshots would carry far. At around 6 in the morning, when it was still barely light out, Daju came running over. His mother opened the door, and Lin Chuyi was still asleep on the Kong when Daju charged straight in. Why are you here so early? It's not even light yet. Didn't you tell me to come early? Forget it, have you eaten? No matter what, we have to wait until it gets light, otherwise what can we even see? True enough. I've eaten already. Give me the gun first. I'll find a place to fire off a couple of shots. It's over there. Be careful when you go out. If my mother sees it, she might not even let me leave the house. I get it. Then where should I wait for you? Go wait for me at the place where we chopped firewood last time. Be careful, and go easy on the bullets too. After Daju made such a racket, he couldn't get back to sleep. So he simply got up. It was a good chance to help his mother tidy up the yard. What's Daju looking for you for? Just about going out to hunt gray dogs. Don't mind him. He went ahead, and I'll go find him after I finish eating. That kid, he's about to get married and still hasn't settled down. Keep an eye on things, and don't go charging foolishly into the mountains. After downing 2 bowls of cornmeal porridge and eating 2 steamed corn buns, his whole body warmed up. As for feeling nostalgic for this taste, not at all. How could anyone like it when this was what they ate every single day? But supplies were just that scarce now, and there was nothing else to eat even if you wanted to. Still, the vegetables planted in the space had all sprouted. They'd probably be ready to eat after the new year, which counted as good news. He had just reached the edge of the village when he heard gunshots. Although they were faint, Lin Chuyi still recognized them. He quickly headed in Daju's direction. That kid had better not waste all the bullets. You're here. Where are we going? The Chestnut Grove. I saw a group of wild boars there yesterday. No idea if they're still there today, but we'll go take a look in a bit. All right. By the way, Chuyi, do you know how to use a gun? You think I don't know how to use one? True. Here, you hold it then. Let me fire a couple of shots later. We'll see. If we run into pheasants or rabbits or something, I'll let you take a couple of shots. But forget the wild boars. If you miss, it'll be a complete waste. Fine. Daju knew his own limits too, so he didn't cling to the gun. With his level of skill, unless a wild boar stood right in front of him without moving. The 2 of them, one in front and one behind, arrived at the Chestnut Grove. Lin Chuyi quickly told the chattering Daju to shut up. Heizi wasn't with them, so they had to pay close attention to what was happening around them. Walk close to the trees. If something seems wrong, climb a tree immediately. Once they reached the Chestnut Grove, Lin Chuyi seemed like a different person. His eyes kept scanning all around, watching the surroundings carefully. Chuyi, there's a gray dog over there. Forget the gray dog. We're here to hunt wild boars. All right then. Where are the wild boars? Stop talking and follow me. They're just up ahead. Following yesterday's route, Lin Chuyi led Daju slowly toward the place where he had seen the wild boars the day before. Not bad. The whole family was huddled together asleep. And the corn kernels and chestnuts he had scattered on the ground and placed on the tree branch yesterday were all gone. When Daju saw the wild boars, he excitedly patted Lin Chuyi on the shoulder. Stop patting me. Stay put and don't move. With that, he crouched halfway down, shouldered the gun, and began to aim. He was aiming at the biggest one, because he understood clearly that with only one gun, if the first shot missed, landing the next ones would be hard. These things can run incredibly fast. Bang, 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 bang. They weren't far away, only 50 or 60 meters. Plus the 5.6 semi-auto's rapid-fire capability, Lin Chuyi emptied all 10 rounds in the gun. Aside from the first one, which was hit in the head and dropped on the spot. The rest bolted the moment they heard the gunshots. He definitely hit some after that, but he really couldn't guarantee how many or where they were hit. Come on, let's go take a look. After reloading, Lin Chuyi led the already impatient Daju toward the boar that had fallen. Don't go over there. He grabbed Daju, who was charging ahead with his head down. Never approach prey before you've confirmed it's dead, because a final counterattack can be deadly. Only after Lin Chuyi saw the bullet hole in the pig's head and the mushy pool of blood on the ground did he finally relax. Leave this one here for now. Let's go after the ones that ran off. I hit a few just now. He had hit several boars in the chest. They could still run, but probably not very far. The 2 followed the blood trail all the way, and after only a little over 100 meters, they saw a boar lying on the ground. It wasn't quite dead yet, and was still gasping heavily. Here, you do it. Just shoot it in the head. Without going straight up to it, Lin Chuyi handed the gun directly to Daju and let him have his fun. Bang! At the gunshot, the boar twitched and went completely still. They didn't bother with it, and instead kept chasing ahead. After fussing around all morning, they finally dragged all the boars together, for in total, 3 big and 1 small. The biggest was probably around 300 gene. The other 2 large ones looked to be over 100 but under 200 gene, and the small one was really just a bonus. It had been hit in the leg and was still alive when they caught it. Daju didn't know how to dress it, so Lin Chuyi had to do it himself. Daju, keep an eye on the surroundings. I'll take care of this. Cut open the belly, then find a place to hang the innards. No one knew when this rule had been passed down, but everyone did it that way, so Lin Chuyi naturally followed suit. Since there were quite a few boars, processing them took quite a bit of time, so Lin Chuyi handled them rather roughly. That should do it. Stuffing snow into the boars' bellies should be enough. This step was to keep the boars from spoiling from the inside. Even though the temperature was low, it was still pretty warm inside the belly, and if you didn't deal with it, it would go bad. They had managed to shoot the boars, but dealing with what came next was more troublesome. How were they going to transport them? Daju, doesn't your eldest uncle's family have a donkey cart? Go borrow it, and we'll haul them straight to the county to sell. Great idea. If we take them back, we'll definitely have to split them up. You wait here, I'll be right back. With that, Daju ran off directly, leaving Lin Chuyi there to guard the boars. Lin Chuyi didn't let his guard down either. Although they had changed locations, the smell of blood was far too tempting to the wild beasts in the mountains, especially in the middle of winter when they couldn't get enough to eat. Fortunately, Daju came through and was back before long, and nothing unexpected happened. The two loaded the 4 boars onto the cart and headed straight for the county town. This time he didn't go look for Lin Hao. The timing didn't match up, and Lin Hao was definitely working at the factory, so Lin Chuyi went straight to a private purchasing station he remembered. Lu San, that's not very decent of you. Someone introduced me to you, and this is how you rip me off? This guy had left a fairly deep impression on Lin Chuyi. It wasn't that he offered the best price, but that he paid promptly, settling each deal on the spot without withholding payment. After the two hauled the boars over, he figured they were unfamiliar faces, so this guy offered only 30 cents per gene. Although the price of this wild boar, skin and bones included, is definitely not as high as pork, it can't possibly be that low, right? Meat ration coupons haven't even been abolished yet. Little brother, I'm really not lying to you. This wild boar meat is lean, and with the skin and bones included, it can't be priced the same as pork, can it? Don't give me that, you think I don't know? This wild boar meat is very popular on the market. Forget it, I'll just haul it to the steel factory. He turned to leave as soon as he finished speaking. Taking it to the steel factory was actually an option too. It's just that the price might be lower. After all, any middleman is bound to take a cut. That's an unspoken rule. People like Lu San, for example, actually send most of what they buy to the factory. It's just that they have their own connections and deal directly with the factory canteen. Don't go, little brother. Isn't the price something to be negotiated? If you're not satisfied with what I said, name your price. 6 mao. And don't say you wouldn't make money at that price. I know the market. It's only because I'm in a hurry today, otherwise I'd really haul it there myself. Besides, this won't be our only deal, there'll be plenty more. Actually, Lu San usually bought wild boar for only 5 mao a gene, then added 1 mao and either hauled it straight to the factory or sold it himself bit by bit. Taking it to the factory was more convenient and saved the trouble of selling it, while selling it himself would earn a bit more, though it was more work. So when Lin Chuyi opened with 6 mao, he found it hard to accept, but it wasn't winter anymore, and fewer people were heading into the mountains. Even when they caught something, they brought it home. After sharing some around the village and keeping some for themselves, there was basically nothing left. He really didn't have much stock on hand anymore. How about this, 5 mao? That's the price I usually pay, you can go ask around. You're really not being honest at all. Just now you were trying for 3 mao. Forget it, forget it. Don't, little brother. 5 mao really isn't low. Go ask around. Is there anyone offering a higher price than me? Then I'll go ask around. Lin Chuyi's refusal to play by the usual rules instantly left Lu San speechless. He had just said it casually. How was he supposed to know Lin Chuyi actually planned to go ask? Once he did that, never mind the price, there was no way the wild boar would be taken back. How about this, brother, 5.5 mao. Take it as my apology. But let's be clear, it'll be 5.5 mao just this time. This price won't count in the future. Alright then, 5.5 mao it is. Where's the scale? Bringing it now, I'll push it over. 3 big ones and 1 small one came to a full 420 gene, which was no small amount. The innards had all been thrown away, and he had kept the heart, liver, and the like for himself to give Heizi an extra meal. Come on, Juzi, time to split the money. Daju had stayed silent the whole time, but his face was red with excitement. He had just seen it himself, a thick wad of cash. The total is 231. That's 115 each for us, and with the remaining 1 yuan, you go buy 2 packs of dashengchen later, and give them to your uncle when you return the cart. No need. I'm close with my uncle. Just listen to me. Your uncle lent us both the gun and the donkey cart. We can't not show any appreciation at all. After all, he had lived for so many years. Although he hadn't achieved anything great, Lin Chuyi still understood this much. Alright then, Chuyi, what are you planning to do with this money? Buy a gun. With this money, Lin Chuyi's plan finally had its initial capital, and it advanced his plan by quite a bit. He had originally thought he'd have to wait a while longer, until the gray dog pelts were fully cured, before he could barely manage to get one. Who knew this would happen? But this was a good thing. After all, the gun was now within reach. You want to go into the mountains? Then I'll buy a gun too, and I'll go with you when the time comes. You'd better not. Save your money to get married. Once you do, hand it over to your wife, and don't go looking for that little peach blossom anymore. If I go with you, we'll have someone to look out for each other. Then what am I supposed to keep this money for? Save a little more. If nothing else, you could buy a bicycle. It's not enough money for that, and I don't have the coupon. How about this? Since it's cold now and there's not much going on, whenever you have time, come wander around the county town and go to the bike repair shop to see if there are any usable parts or anything. Buy them and bring them back, and I'll help you assemble it. You know how to assemble a bicycle? Yeah, a little. Whatever you do, don't let anyone know you have money on you, got it? If it really comes to it, just give the money to your dad. Don't end up getting robbed. I get it. Anyway, I'm not giving it to my dad. I'll listen to you and go look for parts. You really know how to assemble a bicycle? Don't worry. If you're not comfortable with that, you can just buy one directly at the repair shop. Your money should be enough. Then, if I buy the parts, help me put it together so I can save some money. The moment he heard about the bicycle, Daju was overjoyed. How many bicycles were there in their village anyway? Now he had hope of owning one himself. How impressive would that be? At this point, he had no thoughts of buying a gun anymore. He had only been interested in hunting on a whim to begin with. How could hunting compare to a bicycle? Lin Chuyi wasn't in a hurry to buy a gun either. 100-odd yuan was indeed enough to buy one, but it would only be an old gun someone else had used for a long time, that kind of old hunting rifle. He wasn't very interested in that sort of gun. The two of them didn't buy much of anything. Carrying that much money on them, they really didn't dare wander around. So after buying 2 packs of cigarettes at the supply and marketing cooperative, they headed straight home. No one knew about the two of them going hunting, and neither of them planned to make a big fuss about it. Better to keep quiet and make a fortune. Chuyi, let's keep at it tomorrow. My uncle said this gun can be lent to me for 2 days to play with. Sure, let's go take another round tomorrow. Lin Chuyi didn't have much hope for it though. Did they really think it was as easy as knocking down roe deer with a stick and scooping up fish with a gourd? There weren't that many prey animals around the village. And those creatures weren't stupid either. They knew there were people around here, so they didn't like coming close. So, Lin Chuyi was skeptical about tomorrow's haul. Still, he really didn't want to miss this rare opportunity. After all, the more money he had, the more options he'd have when it came time to buy a gun, so he still had to make some preparations. That afternoon, Lin Chuyi went out by himself. This time he didn't go to the chestnut grove. Presumably wild beasts had definitely gone there by now, most likely wolves, and they weren't going to join the excitement. This time he went to the place where they had previously caught the roe deer and scattered several jean of corn kernels that had been soaked in the spring water from his space, hoping they'd get something when they came here tomorrow. That night, the family of 3 gathered around the table. On it, besides the usual 3 things, corn gruel, steamed corn buns, and pickles, there was also an extra bowl of gray dog meat. The aroma filled the air, and Lin Chuyi ate with great relish too. They were short on grease and meat. After all, Mom, after the new year, send Xiaozhou to school. She'll only be 6 after the new year. Isn't that too early? It's not too early. The earlier she starts school, the earlier she can learn. Anyway, she doesn't have much to do staying at home, so she might as well go to school. All right, after the new year we'll take her to register. Xiaozhou was more than 10 years younger than him. It wasn't that his parents hadn't had other children during that time. They did have 2, but neither survived. Actually, what Lin Chuyi wanted even more was to send Xiaozhou to school in the county town, but they simply didn't have the means for that right now. Better wait a little longer. Once he earned a bit more money and bought a bicycle, things would be more convenient. After dinner, they washed up with the hot water in the pot. His mother had already heated the Kong, and when he slipped under the covers, that warmth was truly wonderful. Lying in bed and looking at how splendidly the vegetables in his space were growing, Lin Chuyi felt indescribably pleased. These past days it had been either pickles or napa cabbage, although there was meat from time to time. Not having vegetables was really hard to bear. He missed the taste of fresh vegetables so much. The next day, even after Lin Chuyi had finished breakfast, Daju still hadn't come over. And seeing that it was getting late, he simply went to Daju's house. Just as he reached Daju's doorway, he saw Daju straddling the courtyard wall, clearly about to jump down. He was still holding the Type 56 carbine wrapped in cloth. Daju, what are you doing? Sure, if the old man finds out, he won't let me go. Then don't go. You're a grown man. Getting beaten again wouldn't look good. It's fine. I'm used to it. Besides, the money will be paid back soon, so let's earn a bit more while we still can. Who knows if it was because things went too smoothly yesterday that this guy started thinking hunting was just that easy. But since he was already out, Lin Chuyi didn't think too much about it. Anyway, If he got beaten, it wouldn't be on him, and he wasn't taking him deep into the mountains. So nothing should happen. Daju had just jumped down when he heard his old man's cursing from the yard, and then Daju grabbed him and ran. Daju, did you tell your dad about yesterday? No, I'm not stupid. If I told him, he'd definitely make me give him the money. I'm not that dumb. He saw my gun, and luckily I was quick-witted, and stole it out while he wasn't paying attention. Otherwise, he'd have returned it. Since they were already out, Lin Chuyi didn't think about it anymore and took Daju straight to where they had scattered the bait yesterday. We're not going to the chestnut grove? No, we're not. Wolves have definitely come to that place, so let's not go provoking them. Let's change locations. Sure, I'll just follow you anyway. Oh right, how about I go borrow the donkey cart in advance? Let me tell you, yesterday when I gave the tobacco to my uncle, he was so happy. Lin Chuyi glanced at Daju. This guy really did have a good life. Daju's mother had died early, and in the whole extended family, he was the only male. His uncle had 3 daughters and was counting on Daju to perform the funeral rites for him. So anything good got stuffed into Daju's mouth. When they got there, one look at the messy snowy ground told Lin Chuyi the bait had worked, and it looked like it wasn't just roe deer. There were probably wild boars too. But it was dead quiet here now. If not for the bait that had been eaten, you'd think nothing had happened here. Although there was no game here. This had been part of Lin Chuyi's plan all along. After all, once they'd eaten, they were bound to leave, right? They just needed to follow the tracks, and with the snow, tracking was pretty easy. There was only one trail of tracks. After all, with such heavy snow the road was hard to walk, and once a path had been trampled out, animals would often follow the easier route, just like the game trails in the mountains. Only, the farther they went, the more uneasy Lin Chuyi felt. This was the road leading into the mountains. Daju turned back. What? We've already come this far. Maybe it's just ahead. Forget it, let's go back. If we keep going, it'll be a bit too far. If he were alone, he'd definitely keep chasing after them, but with Daju along, it was better to be cautious. Daju was a little unwilling to go back. They were clearly about to catch up, and he felt it was a pity, but he still listened to Lin Chuyi. Judging from what had happened before, Lin Chuyi had been right. Still, he definitely felt bad about it. This is nothing, don't lose heart. Let's go check somewhere else. The two of them returned to the place where they'd laid the bait. And it was still completely silent, but they did spot several gray dogs. Here, this is a good chance for you to practice shooting. Better not. These little things would be gone with a single shot. What a waste of bullets. Haha, that still depends on whether you can hit one. They're a bit far, your slingshot can't reach them, so try firing your gun. You can't have borrowed this gun and not fired a single shot. Fine, just watch. They're this close. How could I possibly miss? As he spoke, he raised the gun and took aim. But after the shot rang out, the gray dog bounced away. It even paused while running, then turned back to look at them. Damn it, this thing's too small. Who could hit that? If you suck, then practice more. What excuses are you making here? All right, they've all been scared off, and there won't be anything bigger either. How about we head back? Let's keep looking around a bit longer. It's not even noon yet, and there's nothing to do if we go back anyway. Thinking that made sense, the two of them started wandering around nearby. The two were chatting idly when Lin Chuyi suddenly seemed to hear a gunshot, making his whole body tense up. Daju, did you hear anything? Daju stood there and listened for a while, then shook his head. Could it be that he had heard wrong? Even if it was hunters, they shouldn't have come this way. This was close to their village. And hunters generally wouldn't come over here for fear of hurting someone. Just as he thought he'd heard wrong, another gunshot rang out. Daju, fire one shot into the air. Now he was sure, someone really was shooting. At that moment, he didn't bother thinking about what the other side was doing. Firing one shot would warn them that there were people here. Bang! Daju directly fired a shot into the air. Not long after, the two heard someone calling to them. Headman Liu, what brings you here? Lin Chuyi asked curiously. We were chasing wild boars and followed them here. By the way, what are you two brats doing here? We're just out looking around. You rascal, you're trying to play dumb with me? Where'd you get that gun? Borrowed it. We were just walking around nearby, and we were just about to head back when we heard the commotion. Headman Liu looked at the gun in Lin Chuyi's arms and clicked his tongue in admiration. A Type 56 semi-auto, huh? Of course he recognized it. It's just that this thing is expensive and hard to buy. I see you've got a gun too. Want to join us? We've almost driven the wild boars into the mountain hollow. And when the time comes, you can just shoot from a distance. Once it's over, we can take Heizi back with us. Sure, where is it? Right over there. By the way, do you know how to shoot? Who are you looking down on? Yesterday, the two of us took down 4 huge wild boars. Before Lin Chuyi even had time to speak, Daju got excited and spilled everything about yesterday. For wild boars? You two have got some nerve. You dared go after wild boars with just one gun? We didn't go deep into the mountains. We ran into them in the chestnut grove. We just got lucky. That's not luck. It looks like your marksmanship is pretty good. How about this? Later, fire a few more shots, and we'll give you a bigger share of the meat. Sounds good. They had originally been planning to go home. But now that this had come up at the last minute, there was no way Lin Chuyi would miss it. Hunting was only a minor matter. What he really wanted was to get familiar with these people who often roamed the mountains, so that if he ran into them in the mountains later, they could at least nod to each other and reduce the risk of being shot in the back. In these deep mountains and old forests, if your haul is big and someone else's is small, then if you run into each other, who knows what ideas they might get? They could shoot you and no one would ever know. They wouldn't even need to dispose of the body, and before long, even the bones would be gone. So, surviving in these mountains isn't that easy. Basically, no one goes into the mountains alone. On the one hand, it's unsafe to be by yourself, but even more than that, it's to guard against this kind of situation. Take this headman Lu, for example. He usually goes up the mountain with 3 or 5 people. But with the new year approaching, everyone wants to catch more game, whether to sell for money or keep to eat themselves. So this time he directly joined forces with more than a dozen people and started a drive hunt. As the name suggests, a drive hunt is simple enough. It's all about having enough people. And drive hunts generally target wild boars. Sometimes these things move in groups of dozens, so if it were anything else, it really wouldn't be worth doing this. When they encounter a herd of wild boars, the people spread out and drive the boars toward a predetermined spot, block them there, and then everyone works together to keep all the boars from escaping. The two followed behind Headman Lu, and before long they arrived at the place. They could see other people not far away, but there was no interaction. You two just stay here, and make sure the wild boars don't escape from your side. If the boars run over, shoot if you can hit them. If you can't, that's fine too. But remember this well. Keep the muzzle lowered, and don't hit someone by accident. This is no exaggeration. You might think there are plenty of trees in the woods, so if you fire a random shot, it'll definitely be blocked by a tree. But better safe than sorry. Who knows? There might be someone crouching somewhere you can't see. After giving his instructions, Lu Bada didn't leave and stayed beside them, probably still worried about the two of them. In truth, Lu Bada hadn't planned to bring the two along at all. But since they happened to run into this, and hearing that they brought down 4 big wild boars yesterday, which didn't sound like bragging, he figured he might as well let them give it a try. With the Type 56 rifles in their hands, they should at least be able to take down 1 or 2, right? And besides, there were quite a lot of wild boars in this herd, so they definitely wouldn't be able to keep them all anyway. So putting the two of them here was really just a matter of trying their luck. Best case, they hit something. Worst case, even if they missed, he wouldn't have to pay for the bullets. Chuyi, later on, will they give us a share too? Of course they will, but definitely not much. After all, we joined in halfway through, and there's no way they've been working in the mountains for 2 days just to let us reap the rewards. This time, just treat it as getting familiar with them. Whatever they give us, we'll take. True. Later, try to shoot a few more. If we can get a whole one as our share, we can carry it straight home and save it for the new year. Not taking it to sell? Lin Chuyi was joking too. This guy had been going on and on about a bicycle just now, and his nagging was giving him a headache. Forget it. Better to keep it to eat. Then we can have a good new year, and when the time comes I can send some over to my eldest uncle's family too. To be fair, Daju may be a bit simple, but he always remembers whoever treats him well. In his previous life, he had helped him out quite a few times too, even though his family wasn't that well off. Let's eat something first. I reckon it'll be about time by this afternoon. They're already driving them this way. Lu Bada wandered around for a bit, and then came back over, telling the two of them to hurry and eat something. Once the wild boars arrived, there'd be plenty to do, and they might not have time to eat. The two of them didn't hesitate. They took out still warm corn buns from inside their clothes, and when they were thirsty they grabbed a handful of snow. Starting a fire was definitely out of the question. By the way, Badu, where's Heizi? At that moment, Lin Chuyi also remembered his own Heizi. Heizi is driving the wild boars this way right now. That Heizi of yours is really something. He's got the makings of a lead dog. So why not sell him to me? You're not hunting now anyway, and keeping him at home would be a waste. No way. I'm planning to hunt in the future too, and besides, my father left him to me. I couldn't bear to give him away. A lead dog is basically the leader among hunting dogs. Keen sense of smell, bold, strong endurance, and able to lead the other hounds in pursuit. And more importantly, able to guide the whole pack of hounds to work together. They're truly hard to come by. Actually, what Lu Bada said wasn't wrong either. His family only has Heizi left now. And on top of that, he doesn't go into the mountains anymore, so there really is a chance the dog could go to waste. Hunting dogs aren't that easy to train, and when they're at home you can't feed them too well either. Because once they're full and satisfied, they won't want to move. Animals are pretty much the same as people in that regard. So you have to keep them a little hungry, and every time they successfully catch prey, you reward them. So that later they'll understand that doing this gets them meat to eat. That's why Heizi rushed out so impatiently when he saw the wild boar last time. The poor guy was starving. By the way, Lu Badu, do you know whose family has hunting dogs for sale? I want to get two. What? You want to buy hunting dogs? Yeah, I'm planning to go into the mountains to hunt too. And right now there's only Heizi at home, so I want to raise two more. You kid, will your mother agree? Don't worry, I'll persuade her. You know my family's situation too. If I just stay home farming, I won't even be able to get a wife. All right then, I'll ask around for you. And when the time comes, I'll take you to have a look. Thanks for the trouble, Lu Batu. How about this? Next time I go up the mountain, I'll call you. Come with me a few times and get familiar with it. These mountains aren't as easy as you think. If you charge in head first, you might not be able to get back out. Sure, then I'll come see you before the new year. Although nothing was said outright about taking him on as an apprentice, the man was clearly planning to teach him. Even though he already knew and understood everything he should, he still had to keep up appearances. With Lu Bada leading the way, if nothing else, the hunters around here would at least show some respect. As they chatted, the conversation drifted to Lin Chuyi's father again. After all, he knew Lu Badu, so they were bound to say a few words about him. Ah, your dad. He cared too much about saving face. Back when he was following me, just because someone said he was here to take advantage of things, he absolutely refused to stay with me anymore. No matter how I tried to persuade him, it was no use. Later, when he went with Wang Tuzi and the others, I told him to be careful. That bunch was vicious, and if he could avoid dealing with them, then he should. But sure enough, something happened. Hearing this, Lin Chuyi felt more and more that there might be something about his father's death that he didn't know. So he asked tentatively, Badu was my dad. You're overthinking it. Wang Tuzi may be fierce, but he's not that kind of brute. That guy is just bold and likes taking risks. Didn't you see that his younger brother died too? He himself even lost a leg. Did you forget? When your dad was laid out, he even came over on that broken leg, but your mother wouldn't let him in. So he really had been overthinking it. It wasn't like that after all. Then again, his family wasn't some wealthy household, and there didn't seem to be anything worth someone making a move over. They were in the middle of talking when a whistle suddenly sounded by their ears, and Lu Badu sprang to his feet. Get ready. Watch that direction, then follow the wild boars. Don't get too close, just follow them from a distance. Wait until everyone gathers, then listen for my orders. After saying that, he ran off at once, probably to notify the others. Before long, Lin Chuyi saw a mighty herd of dozens of wild boars charging this way, snow flying everywhere from their hoofing. Lin Chuyi immediately dropped into a half-crouch and raised his gun, took a brief aim, and fired a shot into the front leg of the fastest-running boar. The tremendous impact sent the boar flipping through the air, but Lin Chuyi didn't stop. Instead, he kept aiming and firing. Gunshots were sounding in other places too. Killing the wild boars wasn't the goal. Driving them toward the predetermined location was the key. Sure enough, when the lead boar went down, the rest immediately turned and ran toward the place with no gunfire. They had already been terrified by the noise all along the way. Besides that, there was also a continuous string of barking coming from behind the herd. That was the real main force. The two of them jogged along behind the herd just like that, and there was no need to worry about losing track of it. The marks on the ground were far too obvious. Are you Brother Lin's son? The person who had been relatively close to his side just now had joined up with Lin Chuyi and the others at this moment. The first thing he said left Lin Chuyi not knowing how to answer. He didn't dare respond carelessly. Although the surname was right, what if it was all a misunderstanding? The key was that he really didn't know this guy. In his previous life, there hadn't been this hunter around here. Oh, I mean Lin Igua. He's your dad, right? Yeah. And you are? Huh, you haven't met me. I knew your dad when we were kids. It's been so many years since we last met. And I had just come back when I heard something had happened to him. You really look just like your dad. I could recognize it at a glance. The man was still sighing in amazement when Lin Chuyi finally noticed that although this man's skin couldn't be called fair, it was still much better than rough men like them who spent years under the sun. You could tell at a glance that he was different, and those fingers, slender and long, looked weak at a glance. Oh, hello. I heard about your father's situation. My condolences. I only just found out too. It's all in the past now. Lin Chuyi wasn't familiar with the other person either, so he didn't chat much. Although he knew his father, he must have only known him in passing. Their relationship was probably just so. Otherwise, in his previous life, he couldn't possibly have neither heard of him nor seen him.